Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing Iron Master, written by Patrick Tilley. It's book 3 in the Amtrak Wars series. It's a space opera series, sci-fi. It's a very immersive series, very detailed as well. This book changes things up a little bit. For one, it's not as fast-paced as the previous first two books in the series, but doesn't mean it's boring. This book is more about political intrigue. We're immersed into the culture of the Iron Masters. It's a very different culture than the first two groups we've learned about already. So the first two groups we've learned about are the Mutes and the Amtrak Federation. The Iron Masters are very different, and there's so much political intrigue and schemes going on in this book. It's very interesting. I did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to book 4 in the series. So how do we get to book 3 in this series, this book we're discussing now? So the start of this series, we met Steve Brickman. Steve Brickman is a wingman for the Amtrak Federation. On his first mission, he was protecting a road train, which is like a big metal train-like vehicle basically. It houses goods, people, weapons, all sorts of things, and it's used by the Amtrak Federation to go from underground base to underground base. And the wingmen protect them from the Mutes, who they think are dangerous, and all the people in the Federation are told the Mutes destroyed the world. So this book is set almost at the year 3000 on Earth, after some big devastation, some cataclysmic war that happened, and there's been radiation on the surface ever since, and the surface is desolate. There's not much life on the surface. We have people called the Mutes who live there, and the main people in the Mutes that we know of are Cadillac, Clearwater, and Mr. Snow. Mr. Snow is like a wise sage in his clan, and their clan's called the McCall clan. Cadillac is his apprentice, and Clearwater is also held in high regard for a different reason. They think she can be some sort of magic wielder in the future as well. So they're the three main characters in the Mutes we learn about early on in this series. So there's a battle that occurs between the Federation and the Mutes early on, and Steve Brickman crashes his plane, and he thinks he's done for, because the Federation is told that Mutes don't hold captives. They kill anybody from the Federation they come across. But the McCall clan, led by Mr. Snow, rescue Steve Brickman and heal him back to health, and they tell him about a prophecy, and they're looking for somebody called Talisman. And Steve Brickman may either be Talisman or be one of the key people to lead the Mutes to Talisman. We're not sure at this stage, and we're still not sure in book 3. Anyway, Steve Brickman becomes immersed into the Mute culture. He learns things about them, and what he learns confuses him because he's told to hate all Mutes, that they're all dangerous. And he finds out that's not true. In book 2, we have Steve Brickman going back home to the Federation, and when he gets there, he's mistrusted. They don't know why he survived so long above ground without getting sick, because people should get sick up there. There's still radiation on the surface, they're told. And also, they think he's either bringing back diseases from the Mutes, or he could be a spy for the Mutes, so he's not trusted by his own people. And that leads on through quite a bit in book 2 in this series, and then towards the end of book 2, we find out that Steve Brickman is being accepted or told that he must join this special group, like a spy group in the Federation, called a Mexico. And their purpose is to spy on their own people, but also do special missions above ground. So he's now immersed in a Mexico, and he has a mission he has to accomplish. So in book 2, he goes back out to rejoin the Mutes, the McCall clan, and he wants to rescue Clearwater because he fell in love with Clearwater. But he finds out that Clearwater and Cadillac are both in the territory of the Iron Masters. So Steve Brickman sets out to rescue them both. Cadillac, one of his skills, and we learn that some of the Mutes have special skills like magic abilities, and one of his abilities is that he can strip knowledge from people he's in contact with, and he stripped all the knowledge from Brickman about flying machines, flying, engineering, all that sort of thing. And so he built his own flying machine, And he took that across to the Iron Masters with Clearwater. And they're trading that with people in the Iron Masters territory for weapons. Because they want different weapons because they think there's a war coming. And they think they need those weapons to win that war. So now for Book 3. And there's a lot going on in Book 3. At the end of Book 2, when we first met the Iron Masters, we only met them as their ships came across to the homeland, the mainland, where the mutes are. We did learn that their culture is based on feudal Japan culture. But we get more detail in Book 3. So we learn there's a shogun in charge of their whole territory. But we also learn there are other important groups or factions or clans, in a way, in the Iron Master territory. And some of those groups who are meant to support the shogun, they do on face value anyway, they've got other schemes going on. They want control of the whole territory. They're plotting against the shogun. So that's part of the political intrigue in this book. That is a really big storyline right through this book. In the Iron Master territory, strangers are mistrusted. All strangers, no matter who they are, if they're helping in a way, if they have tasks to do, they're all mistrusted and many are treated like slaves. And Steve Brickman finds himself in this territory. Now he's free at the moment and he's trying to find Cadillac and Clearwater. And Steve Brickman is a character that doesn't come across as trustworthy all the time. We don't know his motives all the time, and sometimes you don't find out to the very end which way he's going to go. And that occurs in this book. All through this book, I wasn't sure what's going to happen once Steve Brickman finds Cadillac and Clearwater. Is he going to take them back to the Federation or not? That was a question in my mind all through this book. And with the conspiracy going on between the Shogun's followers, those people who are trying to take over the territory of the Iron Masters, they're doing that by secretly building more flying machines. They're the ones that did this secret trade with the mutes. The Shogun granted them access or the power to trade with the mutes and to invest in experimenting with flying machines, but he wasn't aware of the overall plan of these people. They're going to build a lot of flying machines and use them in a war, internal war, against the Shogun. There's another layer of intrigue going on in the Iron Master's territory with a character called Tashira. And Tashira is a herald of the inner court, and these people, these heralds, have a direct link to the Shogun. They work for him directly. The heralds are kind of spies, but they're also used to govern in a way, but their main purpose is to seek knowledge, information on people and bring that back to the Shogun. Tashira tells the Shogun two new things. That he learns about this plot to overthrow the Shogun with these flying machines, and also he learns that one of the head people in this Iron Master territory is having an affair with an outsider, and that outsider is Clearwater. That's a big thing in this territory. It's a big no-no. It shouldn't happen. The Shogun orders Tashira to find out more, but also stop these schemes from happening. He wants to bring these people to justice, and justice may not be justice in a court of law, and maybe just to do away with them in any means necessary. So Tashira is trying to find a way to get close to these schemes and make this happen. And he comes across Steve Brickman. I won't tell you how he comes across Steve Brickman, but they cross paths. And Tashira recognizes that he can use Steve Brickman for his own means. And also Brickman knows he can use Tashira for his own means as well. That's also intriguing in this book. These two characters are using each other for their own purposes, but they're also trying to find out what each other's doing and who each other really is. And that's another layer of intrigue in this story. I'm not going to say too much more about the plot. I'll just say that as Brickman works his way closer to try to find Cadillac in Clearwater, he's in a land that people could kill him at any moment. He's an outsider. He's not trusted. He's meant to be a slave. He's got no rights in this land. And if anybody has a whim to do away with Steve Brickman, they can do that, and nobody will bat an eyelid, because that's what happens in this story. People from outside lands who are captured, enslaved in the Iron Master territory are just mistreated all the time. So Steve Brickman is in danger the whole time in this story. It just adds an overall atmosphere for this book. I'll say a few other things about this book. I've been waiting impatiently to find out more about the Iron Master territory since Book 1, since they were first mentioned, and finally we're immersed in their culture, and it's wonderful. The detail about them is just wonderful in this book. Patrick Tilley just manages to create this whole unique culture that feels unique, even though it's based on shogun feudal style Japan culture. It feels unique in this world because it's so different from the other cultures in this world. And I just found it so fascinating, so intriguing. And all that political tension going on, all that intrigue going on, just adds so much suspense to this story. The addition of the Federation's spy unit called Mexico in this story was great. It adds another layer, another element in the story, and I've got a feeling Mexico is going to play a bit of a part in all the books in the series from here on. They're very interesting, they're very engaging as a group because they're so mysterious. You don't know their true plans, you don't even know what the plans are for their own people in a way in this story. And it seems like Mexico have secret plans for Brickman, and Brickman doesn't know what they are. So I found that fascinating, and I'm looking forward to find out more about this group. The ending of this story was amazing. It's explosive, it's gripping, it's everything you want in an ending in a story. There is a cliffhanger in a way in this story, and also that's a little bit annoying, but I know there's more books in the series, and the series is being completed a long time ago. So I've got book 4 to read now. I just have to get around to reading it. So I'm looking forward to diving into book 4 to find out how that cliffhanger ends. And if it truly ends in book 4, or is it ongoing for the rest of the books in the series? I did like the ending because it adds so much intrigue and also just extra layers with the characters in this story. We do find out more about certain characters right at the very end of this book. So first off, what's going on with 3 of the main characters in this series? Let's start with Brickman. Of course, he's with the Amtrak Federation, and he changes a bit throughout the series. So he's changed his mind, we think, about how he thinks about the mutes. It seems he doesn't think the mutes are all dangerous, that they're all should be vilified, all should be killed. That's a change in him, quite a big change. But is he still trustworthy? It's hard to say with Brickman because sometimes you think yes, sometimes you think no. And there are big moments throughout the series so far, and especially in book 3, where you just wonder which way is he going to go. We know that he really cares for Clearwater, but we don't know how far that goes yet. And we don't know if he's still going to turn Clearwater over to the Federation or not. I think that's a big question mark over Brickman. What's his motives in this? Does he think he's Talisman? Does he think he's just there to try to help Talisman, appear at some stage to help the mutes? We don't know. And that makes Brickman very interesting in this series. He's very intriguing and engaging because of that big question mark above him. We think his character is true and honest, but you just don't know with him because he can go any way at any time. Cadillac is somebody to watch because at the start of this series, we know he was devoted to McCall clan, so his clan in the whole mute tribal system. We know he was devoted to his people. Now we're not so sure. That's because he's a little bit jaded by the fact that Clearwater and Steve Brickman are now in love. And Cadillac was always promised to marry Clearwater. Now he realizes that's not going to happen. And so he has different feelings now towards the mutes. And he's thinking more selfishly as a character as well. That comes across a lot in book 3. That's a big change for Cadillac in book 3. So I wonder what that means for him in the rest of the series. Will he still be devoted to his clan? Or will he be devoted to what he wants? And will he, be a traitor to somebody in the series as the series goes on? I'm not sure. I really want to know what happens to Cadillac in this series. Clearwater. We still know that Clearwater will always protect the mutes. But will she protect the mutes above Steve Brickman? That's the big question, I think, about Clearwater. We've seen before that she'll do things to protect Brickman above anybody else, even her own clan. And that's with minor things, not with big things. But what happens when it comes to big things, big moments in this series? Well, she puts Brickman above her own people. I want to know if that's the case, because that's a big change for this character, and it may mean big things for our own people. Now to one character that really intrigues me at the end of this story, the Shogun. He's got big plans, I think, and we don't know what they are, and I wonder what his plans are for all the different people in this world. Does he want a war? Does he want to dominate all the other people in this story? Or is he happy with peace, happy with his own lands? We're not sure. And we don't know his true motives. He's very mysterious. He doesn't give much away in this series, especially in book 3 when we get more of the Shogun. He doesn't give anything away. We know he's quite powerful and quite clever. We know he's quite patient as well. But I want to know more about his plans. I've got a feeling the Shogun's going to appear in more books in this series. This book is a great addition to this series. So it's not a book that's full of action, not for the whole book anyway. There's more action in maybe the last quarter of the book, but most of the book is about political intrigue and about atmosphere and suspense, tension between people, and also tension because we're wondering if schemes and plots will succeed or not. That's what drives this book and shapes this book. Also learning so much more about the Iron Masters culture was very interesting. And I loved being immersed in their culture and learning more about different characters in this whole world. I rate this book a 4 out of 5. This book also changed different things for different people in this story, different main characters in the series. And we had Cadillac, and we see Cadillac maybe becoming a bit more selfish, pulling away from his own people a bit in this book. Clearwater, we're not really sure if she'll protect her own people above Brickman. What's going to happen there? And also the whole thing about Mexico, that secret spy group the Federation has, that intrigues me so much. I want to know what happens with that group as the series progresses. As I read through each book in this series, I'll do a book review and put that video up on my channel. If you don't want to miss out on those videos, check out my channel and subscribe. I also have a sci-fi playlist on my channel, should be on your screen now.